All right, so I just finished watching through the new RELINK showcase. Lots of cool stuff. Obviously, we get a ton of really great updates. I actually wrote down a whole bunch. There was so much stuff, I had to write it all down. Obviously, we're getting Sealfon, we're getting Twain. Obviously, in May, we're going to be getting Sandalfon as well. So lots of really awesome stuff. In addition to that, I'll just quickly kind of go over everything they talked about. We're getting 2 new quests with different enemies in this patch. We're getting unique sigils for Twain and Sealfon. No terminus weapons for them, but that's totally fine. New character sigils for the entire cast, which is going to be sick. We're getting mass transmute for sigils, which is a huge quality of life, especially for those of us that have been grinding this game endlessly day in and day out. That is fantastic. New emotes, new color packs, new quality of life. And they announced that for the May update, there's going to be even more quests and things available. So lots of really great stuff got talked about today, but I wanted to talk about something that worries me a little bit for the future of Granblue Fantasy Relink. It's no secret that Granblue itself is a really big IP, and the mobile game, well, the browser game technically, is a fantastic game with a huge following. And whether or not you'd like the game or not, it doesn't really matter, right? Because ultimately, the Granblue IP is huge. RELINK was meant to be, from what I can tell, a sort of passion project where they took Granblue of that old browser game, they took their characters and they sort of made it into this like massive, large-scale game that would bring Granblue to the West. And I think they did an amazing job with that. You can actually tell from the sales. They had a lot of sales in the West. They also had like, at one point, they had like 100K concurrent. And even after like 3 or 4 weeks, they still had like 80K players online, which is a pretty successful launch for a $60 game. If you've only been playing free-to-play games, then like you might not be used to those numbers, but for a $60 game, that's like really good. And honestly, I think for them, it was a lot more successful than they had anticipated it to be, and I think they were really happy about that. But after watching this live stream, I'm a little bit concerned for the future of the game just by how they were kind of talking about it. It was a little strange. If you've been keeping up with them, they have said multiple times it's not a live service game. I think what that means for them is that they will make updates to it, but it's only going to be based off of how sustainable the game actually is for them. And what concerns me about this is because this is a buy-to-own game, without the gacha systems and without like a ton of microtransactions, it's not going to be as profitable as the company is used to seeing with games like their browser game, which is bringing in a ridiculous amount of money every month. So the concern is that for this game, if they're not making a lot of money, maybe they won't continue support for it. And I think after watching this, which let me just show you, I'm a little concerned for the future.
はい、そうですね。我々が長年かけて本当にこのゼーガグランデ空域に用意してきたものというのを今日本当に最後のすべて発表しきったのでやりきったなという気持ちでいっぱいです。ただ、グラブルはもちろん続いていきますし。ゼーガの人々の物語というのも、その一部として終わらないというところありますんで、皆さんが好きになってくださった各キャラクターたちとかこの物語というものをなんだろうな、人気しっかり出て。
So basically, this is just saying like, okay, we're really happy with the game, and I feel like we've created a complete game, but we would really like to expand on things and continue to grow the game, right? Which all sounds really positive. Obviously, I think obviously saying the game is like complete is a little bit of a red flag for me because I'm like, oh no, it's done. They're not going to update it, but that's not what I'm worried about. Check this out.
もあれ、1.2.0 と 1.3.0 というこのリリンクの最後の物語コンテンツまで。
So basically they said that 1.2 and 1.3 updates bringing the final stories and content we have planned for RELINK. So this just means that based off of their initial development, these were some of the final things that they wanted to make for RELINK. Some of the final things that they wanted to actually put out. And I feel like that's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Obviously, like, you know, you had these plans from development and you were working on these while the game was in development. So these were on the roadmap. But that means that is the final thing that he had sort of seen planned, which isn't exactly like a red flag yet. But check this out. The director of the game talks to her a little bit. And he mentions that nothing is set in stone. They might have something else down the line, potentially, possibly. So if nothing else, what this basically means is that like they don't have a huge roadmap for like 1.4 version or nothing to show us yet. Maybe they've already been working on 1.4 low key, but it looks like it's not going to be out for a while. They're not going to be able to do the monthly update thing. I guess that's probably too much for the dev team to do monthly updates on a game this big that requires this many resources. So it looks like we might not actually be getting 1.4 for a while. will. I do believe they will develop a 1.4, but what's going to happen after that? It's hard to say. And I think that what concerns me about this is that it seems like they're speaking on this as if there is potential that the game just gets scrapped. And what reason would they have to scrap the game if it's so beloved in the different parts of the world that they wanted the game to be successful in? Well, it would just be money. Like, truthfully, it would just be money. If the game's not making enough money, they're not going to be able to invest in it. They're not going to be able to put the resources in. And I think this is one of the toughest things about AAA game development, not even AAA game development, just game development nowadays, is that standards for games have become so high for the functionality and the things that people want to see in the games that, like, realistically, the return on investment is not as good as it used to be in comparison to games that riddle themselves with microtransactions. And I think that Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, even though it's an amazing game, honestly, one of my favorite games that I've ever played, and I would love to see this game continue to get updates and flourish and thrive. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of ways for them to monetize the game. They do have some microtransactions with the color packs. They do have some of the like starter pack kind of things that give you some of the items in game. They have things like that, right? But they've chosen not to be super egregious with it. They've chosen not to put gacha in the game. They've chosen not to make it super aggressive with microtransactions. And what that might mean is that if players are not actively playing the game after these updates and they're not spending money on those microtransactions, it's possible they could just pull the plug and this could just be it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling everyone to go swipe on the game. Obviously, like, that's not my goal. What I'm saying is just how businesses work these days is that, you know, they find the best thing for monetization, and if something they do doesn't reach that level, they are more willing to cut it. And with gacha being the standard for so many anime games these days, right? If you have a game that doesn't have gacha in it and it's meant to be live service, they have to have some other way to monetize it to make it sustainable for them and to make it worth going into. If you look at profit margins for a game, like if Hoyoverse decided to take that game Genshin Impact and they decided to make a $60 game that had little to no microtransactions, maybe a skin every once in a while, right? That game would not be as profitable for the company. So why would they invest as many resources into it? Like, especially in comparison to Genshin, which is pulling in like, you know, 40 million a month or whatever it is at this point. So ultimately, I'm worried that this game is not going to see updates in the future just due to how not profitable by comparison to the browser game Relink is. And I really hope that's not the case. And I really hope that if it is the case, the team is willing to go and put some like skins into the game, some more color packs, just throw more microtransactions into the game. Not ones that are going to make players feel pressured to have them, like things that increase your power level and stuff. Like, don't do that. But like, put cosmetics in the game. I think most people are okay with the idea of there being optional cosmetics. I think some people are upset with the state of microtransactions in gaming. And obviously, I am too. Like, I despise microtransactions, man. I hate them. But realistically speaking, if you want to have a game continue to be successful in a gaming landscape where everything else that they could be doing is marginally more successful, and they're choosing to do this out of passion, I would much rather support the passion project by having them release like skins and things and buying into those skins than, you know, just let the game be done. I really love Relink. I think Relink is an incredibly unique game. They've really brought Grand Blue to life, and I would love to see them continue to update this down the line. And if that means they have to put more like microtransactions and things in the game, I'm down for it. As long as it's not, like I said, aggressive and egregious and really like to the point where it's going to make players feel pressured to spend extra money on the game. But for the people that want to support the game and for the people that want to buy skins, have optional cosmetics and stuff, they should do it. Because I would hate if they had to kind of scrap this game's updates in the future just because it's not like super profitable, especially because you can tell that the devs really do care about this game and they really would like to update it. So and then they say this, so like obviously I do think we're getting 1.4 at some point, right? But he continues on. He says, personally, I feel the game's been a success. I would like to continue working on it somehow, but who knows? So I don't know. That's what worries me about it. I don't want a doom post. I really do want to have high hopes that, yeah, we're going to get more updates. Maybe it'll just take a little bit longer, and that's fine. I just think this is such a great game, and I would really hate if it had to go under because of that. And, you know, maybe they could do something like Iceborne for Monster Hunter too. Maybe they release a paid DLC and then during that they add a whole bunch of other stuff too. It's such a fun game, man. You get some more of the staff members and like some of the people that have been working at the forefront of this game saying things like, yeah, like I'm really proud of what we've done and I want to thank everyone for the support. and that's fine. It does feel like kind of final, right? For them, maybe it is final because they've delivered all the things that they wanted to deliver from the start. So maybe it does feel final, and now everything else is like post game, right? It's just concerning when you have like the whole team kind of talking about like, yeah, we're really proud of what we've done, and everything is like looking good, and that was kind of the final update we had planned, because usually that is like it's not end of service level, but it's definitely along the lines of like usually when games they're done doing like really big updates and stuff. And so I'm really hopeful that we'll see like more characters. Like I really want UL in the game. There's a bunch of characters in the fighting game. Oh, Vera would be super fun. Like I hope that they can find what they need to be able to find to continue to produce this game at the level they have, because it's really incredible. Player support and demand are the catalysts that drive us to create. There you go. You love the game. Make sure people know you love the game. And then they have this trailer, which is absolutely beautiful, high quality, masterpiece. So yeah, I mean, listen, the live stream was great, and I really am so excited for all the updates they're bringing. I'm gonna be streaming this later too on my VTuber channel. So like I can't wait for this. But I'm a little concerned. I hope that this team continues to put their whole side game OC into this, because it's really amazing. In the meantime, guys, you can still expect a lot of content from me on the game until I'm basically done making content on it. So obviously I'm going to make Tway and stuff. I might make a Tway and build tonight even and post it. So stay tuned and let me know what you guys think down below. Do your best to support these guys if you want to see this game succeed, because I really do. And I know a lot of you guys do too. So I'll catch you guys later.